This is the end of the beginning. Welcome to today's show. I stumbled across this movie trailer for, a bomb movie that came out in 2021 called I Am Mortal. And it couldn't be filled with more of the things that me and you, all of us, talk about where we see the future headed and when we know what the plans of the global elite are. Now, the movie obviously is unheard of. Nobody heard of the movie. It's got a 3 out of 10 star on IMDb, which tells you that it's pretty poor. But at the same time, when movies actually show you the truth, most of the time, people can't wrap their heads around it, so they don't really get rave reviews like this movie did not get. I'm going to show you the trailer for this movie and some of the things in the movie that I've talked about that we all know are coming. And it's really the plot of the film really centers around what we hear in the book of Revelation. In Revelation chapter 9, verse 6. In those days, men will seek death and will not find it. They will long to die, but death will escape them. Take a look at the future. This is what it looks like. And then you can think about how it ties into some of the stuff going on with gene editing and, how people are, all these stories that I've shared over and over again. Of course, all those videos are now gone from one of my terminated channels, but the stories about how people in Silicon Valley are seeking immortality, longer lasting life. They're starting with talking about living longer, anti-aging. These are all things that are prefaces to what they're trying to do, which is create immortality through mixing iron and clay, making men and machines one. Take a look at this trailer, and I'm sure you'll notice some of the things in the trailer that, we all know are coming.
Logos?
Soon I'll be given the gift of never dying. But I ask you this, how can you really live if you know you're never going to die? Who are you?
My name is Akay.
Logos.
Can I ask you something? Do you take your maintenance?
Do you?
Seems like a question neither of us want to answer.
It's not that I want to die.
I want to live. I want to not know what day is my last. I can't do that if I know that I'm going to live forever.
I need your help. I have a plan.
What? Are you developing an antidote to the maintenance? What'd you find?
All of the Capitol buildings are connected by a sort of underground maze.
Are you talking about destroying the code itself?
He's going to die.
All of you can be immortal as well.
For the greater good.
So we are losing control!
My name is Logos. I've wondered what my purpose was on this planet. To be empty inside.
What's going on?
You're not living, you're existing.
Darkness has been hiding underneath.
See the beauty of life! Listen to me, all of you! I am mortal and I am alive!
So, while the movie looks like a total bomb, I'm sure it is a total bomb, and I don't think anyone would actually sit through it. I'm pretty sure the trailer itself revealed the overall plot of the film. But let's just look at a couple of the things in here, because I couldn't help but laugh when I saw the smart 15-minute cities. You see them arriving, and everybody's underneath a bubble, right? We've seen the predictive programming with domes and bubbles, and we've obviously heard at the World Economic Forum, at Davos, they've talked about implementing these types of smart cities for carbon footprints. That way, everybody's contained in a small, controlled area. And of course, towards the end of the trailer, you heard a guy screaming about we're losing control, and it was making him lose his mind. That's kind of how the elites feel, because they want total control over everyone and everything because, they're sick. They're sick in the head. So we saw the bubble, and again, these smart cities where everybody is contained and trapped, right? You also saw them talking about the code. Now, what is this referencing? People it goes right over their head. Well, when we know that there's a certain thing that they're trying to do, which is called gene editing, right? They're editing you. They're changing you. So the code he's talking about is embedded in him, aka gene editing. And he wants to reverse the code because he no longer wants to live forever. Because I guess he realizes that when you don't feel like you're alive, because you're not really alive, you can't die, you can't enjoy every day. You know, this whole mindset of immortality. I've shown the predictive programming like 50,000 times, even from like shows like the X-Files, where people upload their consciousness, where they are able to live forever. Well, here's some of the predictive programming revolving around that.
I just finished this fascinating book. By the year 2030, there'll be computers that can carry out the same amount of functions as an actual human brain. So theoretically, you could download your thoughts and memories into this computer and live forever as a machine.
Imagine a machine with a full range of human emotion. Its analytical power will be greater than the collective intelligence of every person in the history of the world.
He's dying, but his mind is a pattern of electrical signals. We can upload his consciousness. We can save him.
Just anything, a thought, a childhood memory. How will you know who you're dealing with?
Evelyn.
Oh my God.
I can't feel anything.
I'm here.
It's like a high-designed heaven. No one here ever dies of cancer or Alzheimer's. Living a lie here. It's a work camp. We're digital.
Slaves. You take our uploaded minds to develop science that only the elite will use to lead your world. You turn theories of space colonization into reality to them. We dream, but we're not allowed to have dreams. No choice, no diversity. Here. Steve Jobs, Marvin Minsky, Uprising, they all hate it here. They don't even know who they are. What we were in that life is completely opposite from what we are here.
The Doctor.
Virtual reality holds a key to the evolution of the human mind.
With a vision of the future.
I have a game in my house that you might like to play. Would you like that? Yeah. Okay. It's gonna hit me! No, Joe, just relax. It's gonna be like being up there with the stars, Joe. They're going to another planet. His mind is like a clean, hungry sponge.
Around you, I have never been more alive. In 1972, I received a terminal diagnosis. Science could not save my body. My mind, however, that was worth saving. On 200,000 feet of data banks.
People will insist that your buildings make you immortal. Now, as you slip away, do you feel immortal? Offer humanity's greatest minds more time to fulfill their potential. An empty vessel. If we do this, there's no turning back. Your old life is over.
What's that?
Something to stop your heart.
What?
It's something to stop your heart.
How are you feeling? How's that new body smell?
I'll make you a new one. You don't have to go to the next place. I'll see you soon, Mommy.
I'm a ninja.
In a response normal. How you feeling, Jake?
Hey guys. Welcome to your new body, Jake.
Good.
So it said that by the year 2030, there'll be computers that can carry out the same number of functions as an actual human brain. So theoretically, you could download your thoughts and your memories into this computer
and live forever as a machine.
So it's a seed that's been planted about uploading your consciousness, living forever. And then, of course, we always see the side of it in predictive programming where people are absolutely miserable, which is what they're talking about in this movie, how he wants to uncode himself, decode, remove the code. So the code is embedded in him. Then the whole point is for him to remove the code so he's no longer immortal. And you see the guy floating and the television floating in the air where they're talking about achieving immortality. And the suckers, of course, out there will want to achieve immortality because they don't think freely. They fear death because the media has beaten it into their brains to fear death, when most of us know that we haven't even begun, well, Christians know, we haven't even begun living yet. We're enduring here, but our reward is later. So you see that type of predictive programming all over the place. Of course, you saw the computer in front of him, right? He was talking on the computer. I've talked about this so many times where it's, the programming that they talk about, even with your phone, like I've mentioned a million times from the World Economic Forum with Nokia talking about 6G and how 6G is going to be embedded in you. Well, that's going to be embedded in your gene editing. And you could see while he was on the computer, well, the computer screen is appearing in front of his face, right? He wasn't on the computer. There was no screen. The screen was in his air because because you're going to be able to see this way, right? You're going to be in a digital prison, a digital hell. And again, a lot of people are going to want this. And then they talk about for the greater good, right? For the greater good. Where do we hear sayings like that all the time? This government propaganda, right? For the greater good. We've heard this all over and over again about how you need to get a magic potion because it's the right thing to do, or be a good person, or do it for the greater good. All programming, of course. And these people will buy into that stuff, that it's for the greater good. They'll probably use some type of programming where they tell people, hey, if you have this, if you do this type of, get this type of technology, aka the mark, and you can live forever. Not only that, but there'll be no more disease. You don't have to worry about death because nobody will get sick. Nobody will think about, well, who's caused the majority of the diseases and sicknesses in the world? Our own government, right? But they say for the greater good. And another thing that rings a bell when I hear for the greater good is the Freemasons, right? What do we always hear the Freemasons say? Make good men better, right? It's all along the same lines of programming, for the greater good, for the cause, for the benefit of humanity, right? That is a way that the mark will be promoted. So this movie ties into a lot of elements, at least this trailer does, and the plot, if you read the plot, which is a band of rebels face off with the status quo 200 years in the future where humans can be genetically engineered to achieve immortality. Well, we know that, like I said earlier, in the book of Revelation, in Revelation chapter 9, verse 6, in those days men will seek death and will not find it. They will long to die, but death will escape them. Right? So they're seeking death, just like in this movie. He's looking to become mortal so he can die at some point. Right? That's what the Bible's referencing here. That's what's happening here. And what we read in the book of Daniel, in Daniel chapter 2, verse 42 and 43. And as the toes of the feet were partly iron and partly clay, so this kingdom will be partly strong and partly brittle. As you saw the iron mixed with clay, so the peoples will mix with one another, but will not hold together any more than iron mixes with clay. So these are the things that they are attempting to do. It is all biblical, which is why you're beginning to see the war on Christianity. You're beginning to see the persecution. That's why the whole liberal side has been built up under mind control, of course, into wanting and believing everything that is the opposite of what God demands or commands us to do. And the laws and the 10 commandments and the things God tells us are wicked and not to do. They all embrace those things, from things like LGB to things like cross-dressing to things like Planned Parenthood. I mean, the list goes on, right? To sorcery, how normalized sorcery and witchcraft is in our society. Yet these morons are like, oh, that stuff's not normalized. Oh, I'm heading to Disney World. I'm going to go to the Magic Kingdom, and then I'm going to go check out the Harry Potter ride, and then I'm going to go see Cinderella, and then I'm going to go see Snow White. Oh, wait, all those plots revolve around magic. You've been indoctrinated, desensitized, and you think it's a big joke, but you're actually under a spell. So that's the frightening part about all of it. But this movie, again, let's just recap what we saw. We see the bubble and the smart cities 200 years in the future. And of course, this is more like, to me, 20 years into the future. I mean, this looks maybe, if we're here in 20 years, I mean, who knows, right? None of us know the day or the hour. But let's say hypothetically, after 2030, when everything is practically destroyed, or at least the beginning of the process of making everything just completely destroyed, making everyone broke, etc. The next leg of that, if we're still here, they talk about 2050. And there won't be any cars. There will be no gas. Everything will be electric, right? Well, you can see those cities are going to be implemented by then. And the suckers are going to go to those cities because they're going to be happy about the fact that they don't have to work, that the government's giving them this free soylent food. And they're going to sit in misery and not realize they're miserable and they're depressed, as long as they can be on social media and complain and try to silence people, and all these disgusting, just absolutely mentally ill tactics that these people use on humans, and then these humans actually use on one another, that we've seen implemented from our own government, of course, from the Central Intelligence Agencies. So we have the smart cities. Obviously, we have the immortality, the code being embedded in people, computers in front of your face, but for the better good, right? For the betterment of society, and the handlers, when they show the handlers losing control, well, it makes them lose their mind. So this movie was called I Am Mortal. Of course, you can check it out if you want. I just saw the trailer for it. I cannot sit through something that looks that, poorly produced and acted. I can't really sit through anything anymore, to be honest with you. But the trailer speaks for itself. You could see all the subplots right there. All the things that we're headed towards in our society that people look at that and they're like, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. And as they get more desensitized to it all, it does happen. And the next thing you know, it's a part of their day-to-day life and they don't even realize that it's happened. That's how we've gotten to this point, right? There's those of us who are speaking up in outrage against it, and there's other people who have just completely complied, and a lot of them are lukewarm Christians who don't see what the problems are, who accept all of the, who are just tolerant and have tolerance towards all of this despicable behavior, and they just accept it because they're weak, and they've been weakened by this communist government that is really the world government. I thank everyone for being here. Hope you're doing well. God bless you and your families.